Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, jueves, el 13 de enero. Your homework due for today was the guided workbook, page 67. We'll go through that today. Your learning targets are to continue distinguishing the difference in use between ser and estar. That's what you are working on for your homework. And then the new concept or the new task is to describe what you wear, how you get ready, and how you feel before a special event. Your warm-up is a fill-in-the-blank warm-up, choosing the correct form of ser or estar, similar to what you guys did for your homework today. Taking a look especially at the descriptions that come after the blank, if those descriptions are of the characteristics of someone or something, what they're like, their appearance, their origin, where they're from, or occupation or relationship, then you're going to use the verb ser. If it's talking about location or emotion, then that would be the verb estar. Time, also would be for the verb ser. We use ser to express time. So that is your warm-up. Then we're going to do an exercise, a worksheet, ser or estar, and that can be found here. So you're going to do this with a partner, and what I want you to do is, just like the warm-up, fill in the blank with the correct form of ser or estar, but I also want you to indicate the circumstance that calls for, or the circumstance that calls for ser or estar. So for example, number 1, el profesor no blank en la escuela. The teacher is not at school. And you're going to look at that handy-dandy T-chart that we looked at for our notes. You're going to say, okay, is that talking about position, location, action, condition, or emotion? Or date, occupation, characteristic, time, origin, talk about where something's from, and then relation between two things. So going back, escuela would be referring to location, and so that would be the verb estar. And since we're talking about el profesor, talking about him in the ella form. So the correct answer for number 1, está. Number 2, el libro blank encima de la mesa. Encima might not be a word you're familiar with. You could throw that in the dictionary and you'd find that encima means on top of. Mesa, you probably remember from Spanish 1, and we talked about it in the beginning of the year. Mesa is a table. So the book is on top of the table. Encima is our context clue. That's referring also to location or position, I guess. So also going to use the verb estar for number 2. And since you're talking about an object, el libro, your conjugation would be also está. So number 1 and 2 are the same. Está. Número 3, el señor Gómez blank de Bélgica. Bélgica, you look it up in the dictionary, that's Belgium in Spanish, European country. De Bélgica, señor Gómez is from Belgium. Just like how you would say, yo soy de Brentwood. Ser is used when we talk about origin, right? Where someone or something is from. And since you're talking about el señor Gómez, talking about him in the ella form, correct answer for number 3 is going to be es. El señor Gómez es de Bélgica. Do one more together. Caracas blank in Venezuela. Caracas is the capital city of the country of Venezuela. Caracas is in Venezuela. Location, yeah? Talking about a city, we're going to use está. So that's what I want you to do for this worksheet, but don't just write the answer. Write the reason why you chose ser or estar. So for example, you're going to write on the side here, or even just to the left next to each number, you're going to write date, occupation, characteristic. You're going to write one of these situations that is an example, or that describes what kind of context each of these is referring to. Now numbers 5, 6, and 11 you're not going to be familiar with. And that's because they refer to grammar concepts that we've not talked about yet. So I'm going to give you the answers for 5, 6, and 11 now. Number 5 is está, E-S-T-A, está. Number 6 is están, E-S-T-A-N. Number 5, está trabajando. Number 6, están estudiando. And number 11, estamos. Estamos cocinando. And the reason why we're using estar for these, just so you know, is because these verbs here, you probably recognize the verb trabajar, the verb to work, the verb estudiar, to study. This is the verb cocinar, to cook. You can see the endings look new. This is kind of the ing ending in Spanish. Like when you want to talk about what someone is doing in the moment. Just how we do in English, right? Is working, are studying, we are cooking. We use the verb to be as well in what we call the present progressive form. And then in Spanish, we use the verb estar for that. So if we look back at that T-chart, it's referring to action, an action that's in the act of taking place now. But we didn't go over that grammar yet, so you wouldn't recognize that for numbers 5, 6, and 11. All right, last thing real quick, y'all, that we have on the agenda for today is an oral presentation that you guys are going to do in Canvas. I'm going to give you guys time in class to work on the script. And it's very, very brief, y'all. It's on page 93, página 93. And then what I want you to do, you can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up on your computer. I want you to pull up a picture of a special event. You can pull it up on your social media, or wherever you have pictures. And then I want you to answer these questions about, or to describe that event. First question, ¿qué tipo de evento es? What kind of event is it? ¿Qué ropa llevas? What clothing are you wearing in that event? ¿Qué haces para prepararte? You're going to use some of that daily routine vocabulary from the beginning of this chapter. Cepillarse los dientes, ducharse, maquillarse, arreglarse el pelo, cepillarse el pelo, vestirse, right? ¿Cómo estás? That final question. How are you feeling at that event? Entusiasmado, entusiasmada, are you excited? Nerviosa, nerviosa, contento, contenta, aburrido, aburrida. You're going to use your notes as much as you need to help you out. It's out of 15 points. You can see how you'll be scored there based on the rubric. But again, really, really concise. You don't need to, I'll show you right now how to go about it, providing an example for you to follow. So, first question, ¿qué tipo de evento es? El evento es las vacaciones de verano. El evento es las vacaciones de verano. You can see summer vacation is the event. Doesn't need to be a formal event per se. Okay, so el evento es, and then the event. And you can look that up in the dictionary if you're not quite sure. Wedding, graduation, that kind of stuff. We're actually going to go over that vocabulary a little bit later this year. ¿Qué ropa llevas? Remember, you can go to page 70. We talked about clothing very briefly at the beginning of this chapter. There you have upper body clothing and lower body clothing. Again, that's page 70. So going back to that picture that I was sharing with you, yo llevo, or yo uso los anteojos de sol, una gorra y una camiseta. También llevo los cortos y los zapatos, but this is only a neck-up photo, so just describing what I'm wearing there. Una camiseta, una gorra y los anteojos de sol. ¿Qué haces para prepararte? What did I do to prepare myself for this event? Well, nothing special. Me cepillo los dientes. Where's that picture? Me cepillo los dientes. Me lavo la cara. Me ducho. Me visto. Didn't do my hair or anything special. Me cepillo los dientes. Me lavo la cara. Me ducho. Y me visto. So pull some of that daily routine vocabulary that you used for your project from last quarter. And then the last question, how do you feel? ¿Cómo estás? Yo estoy feliz. Yo estoy contento. So, putting it all together in an oral presentation. El evento es las vacaciones de verano. Yo llevo los anteojos del sol, una gorra y una camiseta. Para prepararme, yo me ducho, me cepillo los dientes, me lavo la cara y me visto, y yo estoy contento. Yo estoy feliz en esta foto. So that's what I'm looking for your presentación oral, un evento especial, putting together all the vocabulary, or a good majority of the vocabulary and the grammar, that we've been looking at this chapter. And that, muchachos, is your agenda for today. Your homework is to submit that Ser Estar worksheet into Canvas, to go ahead and record your presentation and submit that as a video in Canvas. And then you have a quiz on Ser and Estar. Really, if you just take a look at this T-chart, you take a look at the homework and the in-class activities that we've been doing, the quiz is going to be very similar to what you've been doing. A lot of fill in the blank, maybe some short answer responses, similar to the ones that you guys did for today. All right, and that is our agenda for today. Nos vemos en la clase, muchachos. Adiós.